The big lie. The Bible is the compass of truth, of reality. With the proper orientation of the compass, you cannot err, you cannot stray, you cannot get lost. If the compass is disorientated, then you will be lost, and travel at full speed in the wrong direction. You will not even know you are lost until you reach your destination, and realize it is not what you expected. Our enemies have distorted the orientation. They have redefined the landmarks. The original nation is the true seed of Abraham. The Caucasians are the devils, Jacob's creation. That is the true orientation, provided by Elijah. Elijah found our brains in a frozen state, solidly frozen, in total darkness. Elijah turned on the light, and began thawing out our brains, but then the devils turned on the microwave, where our brains are being scrambled with the light on. The release of the devils and Satan from the abyss of the 1,000 years dark ages, allowed them to go forth and deceive the entire world. The reorientation of the scriptures is the means of the deception. Christianity, the Caucasians making themselves the new covenant spiritual seed of Abraham, reduced the true seed of Abraham to the children of Ham, cursed to be the slaves of Caucasians perpetually. The advent of Fard and his messenger, restored the true north, true south, true west, true east. That orientation is unacceptable by the devils and Satan, and had to be destroyed at all cost. Their efforts to reorganize to the specifications of the Jews, and Caucasians, has the world confused, perplexed, contentious, as everyone is colliding with one another following, obeying misleading, signs, landmarks, confusing directions. Deceived. The nations are perplexed. Satan deceived the whole world. Why are the nations perplexed? How are they deceived? The nations are perplexed by reason of their deception. The Middle East is the spark that is about to ignite the entire world. All because of a lie. The world is upside down, inside out. Anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism. Those who are yelling anti-Semitism are the anti-Semites. The so-called Jews, false Israel, are not Semites. They are not the seed of Abraham. The true seed of Abraham is still in the bowels of America. The wicked, hypocritical America that has been persecuting them for 400 years. Jews are the anti-Semites, who are preying on Isaac and Ishmael, the true seed of Abraham. The world has been deceived into worshipping Satan, who has had a makeover, morphing into false Israel, an angel of light. While the true seed of Abraham languishes in captivity. They are blessing the accursed, and cursing the blessed, the inheritors of the blessing. Mr. Trump, leading the deceived, the wantonly deceived, the needing to be deceived, into a raging fire, wrapped in the flames of their deception. The big lie. The big lie. The big lie. False Israel ain't real. They, with all Jews, are the synagogue of Satan, the children of devils, according to the words of their Jesus. True Israel are the original nation oppressed and in captivity in America. Perplexed. The nations are called to war to support a lie, the big lie. The nations perplexed over the lie. The nations in derision over the truth. Everything upside down, inside out. The establishment of false Israel has resulted in perplexity. The more they support the lie, the more perplexed. Yet, the truth is met with derision. The nations Gog, Magog, and Dajjal are desperate to legitimize, sanctify the lie. False Israel has to be the real deal. It just has to be, it has to be. Has to be, just has to be. False Israel just has to be real. Has to be kosher. It just has to be. The alternative is unthinkable, mind-shattering, mind-altering. If the original people, the niggers, are Abraham's seed, the true inheritors of the promise, what does that say about their oppressors, their destroyers? What does it mean for the future of Abraham's seed's oppressors, their tormentors, the future of their tormentors' offspring? Too awesome to contemplate. The niggers can't be Abraham's seed, just can't. No way, impossible. Unthinkable. That narrative could never be allowed. Never. 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 Must be extinguished at all and any cost. All in. So, they set up their counterfeit, false Israel, and embellished, clothed it with all the trappings of the seed of Abraham, the Abrahamic promise. America is bankrupting itself, bankrolling the biggest fraud of all times. Build up false Israel, while destroying the true seed of Abraham, genocide under the color of war. America is risking global war in their plan to be rid of the original nation, as cannon fodder in war, the true seed of Abraham. America is risking global war in support of false Israel, support of the Great Deception. Everyone is on board, the Democrats, the Republicans, everyone. They only differ in means, in strategy. They have the same goal, be rid of blacks, all blacks. Let's deal shrewdly with them. What do you think that means? They will work in darkness, clandestine policies, secret. Their words will and does not reflect their actions. The demons, specifically by reasons of their love for daddy, are assisting them. But their daddies want them, demons dead too. Another big lie. Capitalism creates wealth. The wolf pack must first locate and take down the prey, then the pack decides how to divvy up the spoils. That's what capitalism is, deciding on how to divvy up the spoils. But first the hunt, then taking down of the prey. If capitalism is about creating wealth, then why didn't the Europeans stay in Europe and create all that wealth? No. They went looking for prey, and finding it, America, Australia, Africa etc., they took it down and called their families to come eat. Famine, drought, debt, climate issues arise as the prey diminishes, as the prey is devoured. It's a leech system. When the prey becomes anemic, the leeches begin to turn on each other, violence. War. The Europeans are a race of leeches. Capitalism is the religion of leeches. They are desperate to absolve themselves of their complicity in the destruction, genocide, murder, rape, theft left in the wake of their fathers' predatory/beastly actions. Yet, they are perfectly happy to feed off the prey. With blood-flowing/dripping fangs, they proclaim their innocence. Their own law condemns them. You cannot benefit from the fruits of crime. They will take a car from a son, that was purchased by a thieving father. Consequence. The Roman Empire was based on the preying on of other nations they called conquest. When the Roman Empire ran out of nations they could conquer, Rome collapsed, taking down all of their prey, Europe, with it for 1,000 years of austerity, poverty, starvation, and death, called medieval. The Roman Empire, Britain, America, Germany etc. wasn't revived until it found fresh prey to take down, fresh abundant blood to suck. And as the previous Roman Empire, their destiny/fate is the same, starvation, poverty, oppression, death. They are now hovering over, encircling the Middle East as buzzards/vultures seeking fresh kill, seeking/lusting the black blood, oil to fuel their blood-sucking, beastly actions. They have virtually sucked every drop of the blood of the original people, leaving the original nation anemic and plagued with demons, their black-faced devils. America as well as her siblings are now faced with the fact that there is no new blood-rich, weak prey left to devour. The prey has acquired nuclear fangs. Judgment. America seeks to absolve itself of its grotesque crimes. It was in the past, it was our fathers, we immigrated here after all that, etc. etc. Get over it, things have changed, we ain't like that anymore, etc. etc. Really? 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 Read the prophecy carefully or not. It is not the original perpetrators of the crimes that are being judged, being condemned, being punished. They are long dead. The likes of Washington, Jefferson are rotting in their graves. No. It's their children, their offspring, the current inhabitants of the land that are destined for judgment, for eternal hell. Can a tiger change its stripes? They are no different from their fathers, the perpetrators. They are fully aware of the evil, monstrous crimes/sins of their fathers, yet have done nothing to correct them. The Native Americans still exist. Yet they haven't returned their land to them. The original people are here, they have done nothing to make them whole. Not even apology. They are roaming the planet killing, murdering, bombing women children by the millions, who have done them no harm. No. There is no absolution, no pardon, no forgetting, no forgiveness. Justice, consequence will be served. 12 Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and behold, terror and great darkness fell upon him. 13 God said to Abram, Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, where they will be enslaved and oppressed 400 years. 14 But I will also judge the nation whom they will serve, and afterward they will come out with many possessions. War is but days away. The dragon, house of Saud, allied with Dajjal, Netanyahu, driving Gog, US, and Magog, UK, the dragon's angels, to a humiliating defeat against Iran, the Shia, Farrakhan's angels.
The Middle East is about to explode. The tinderbox, the spark that will ignite the time of unprecedented trouble. World War III, the War of Armageddon. Who will strike first? Mr. Donald Trump, President of the United States. This is the time of restoration, the restoration of all things, the end of your reign of terror, the time for America to face 400 years of dammed up consequence. There is no, quote, making America great again, end quote. It was never great. It's your time of consequence. Advice: repent, pack up, and immediately lead a European ancestry exodus back to Europe, taking nothing with you but your clothing. The window for this brief mercy is quickly closing. Willingly or unwillingly, you will return from whence you came, either in chains or not. That's your choice, only choice. Time is of the essence. Jonah, in the name of Allah, Lord of the worlds. P.S. Leave Iran alone.
Michael and his angels fought. And the dragon and his angels fought.
Farrakhan and his angels, the Shia, are about to square off with the dragon, the house of Saud, and its angels, Gog, Magog, and Dajjal, false Israel. A dramatic, climatic battle for control of the land of promise. A war in the Middle East. Gog/US and Gog/UK will be dragged in by Mr. Netanyahu. Mr. Netanyahu/false Israel knows they must strike now or never. Mr. Netanyahu has never seen the stars align so favorably. He doesn't expect that it will last past Mr. Trump's reign. Strike now or never. The dragon, House of Saud, is in agreement with Mr. Netanyahu, and seeing all the constellations lined up in their favor want to strike now. To that end, Mr. Netanyahu has convinced Mr. Trump to build up America's strike force in the region in preparations to take down Iran. They have a shock waiting for them, one from which they will never recover. The Iranians are prepared and motivated, even more than in the war with Saddam Hussein, an epic battle.
Mr. Trump is trying to save America, trying to revive America, trying to heal America, trying to make America great again. But, he can't. He thinks his devotion to false Israel is the bomb required, but he has been deceived, is being deceived. The correct bomb is repentance to, and the restoration of the true seed of Abraham, the true Israel, the original nation, who America have been oppressing for over 400 years. But he can't and won't dare to go there, for it will require the acknowledgement of the true seed of Abraham. He would be dead before he finished the sentence. 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed, forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. War broke out in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and its angels. There are 3 beasts mentioned in chapter 13 of the INJIL called Revelations. One is the image of the other 2. The image beast is supported and sustained by the remaining beast. The first beast was wounded by death. Death is symbolic of the Oriental nations, specifically Japan in World War II. America was wounded by Japan, but America survived the wound, was healed. The third beast was slain by the sword, but survived though it was not healed. The third beast is so-called Great Britain, who was wounded by the loss of India, symbolic of the sword, which crippled Britain, taking down its empire. The second beast is a clone or image of the third beast. The second beast is false Israel. False Israel's government is a clone or image of the British government, the beast wounded by the sword. The second beast, false Israel, receives breath/life from the beast wounded by death. False Israel receives military, economic support from America. The first beast, America, protects false Israel, the image beast, and kills anyone who will not worship or bow to false Israel, the image beast. America also sanctions everyone who will not submit to false Israel, the image beast. The 666 in the INJIL refers to a man. It's the number of a man. 666 is also mentioned in the book of Daniel, as the dimensions of the golden image. Meaning an image of gold, copper/brass, which are an image or likeness of gold. There the image is 6 by 6. When 2 of the dimension of anything are equal in the Bible, the third is assumed to be equal as well, yielding the dimensions of the golden image, also as 666. Brass, which is gold-like, is symbolic of Jews in Daniel. The Jews have stolen the original nation's ID. The Jews, the brass, are pretending to be the gold, the golden original nation. Daniel refuses to worship the brass, the false gold, the false Israel, and the 666, the beast, and or the name of the beast, as in the INJIL. 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits, he set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. 2. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. 3. Then the princes, the governors and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. 4. Then an herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, 5. That at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. 6. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. 7. Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages, fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. 8. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near, and accused the Jews. 9. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. 10. Thou, O king, hast made a decree, that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. 11. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee, they serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. 14. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? 15. Now if ye be ready that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. 17. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. 18. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. 19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, therefore he spake, and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated. 20. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. 21. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. 22. Therefore because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. 23. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. 24. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonied, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. 25. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. 26. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake, and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth, and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, came forth of the midst of the fire. 27 And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. 28 Then Nebuchadnezzar spake, and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god, except their own God. 29 Therefore I make a decree, that every people, nation, and language, which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. 30 Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, in the province of Babylon. Calculate, which means just that, calculate. Calculations involve numbers. Calculating the number of a man, whose number is 666. 18 Here the wisdom is, the having mind let him calculate the number of the wild beast, number for of man it is, and the number of it 666. And the living the first like to lion, and the second living like to young bull, and the third living having the face as of man, and the fourth living like to eagle flying, the third beast had the face of a man. I've always describes the third beast with an oriental face to minimize confusion, and security against plagiarizers, but that designation is incorrect. The face is as shown, it's the face of the man described in chapter 13. Here the wisdom is, the having mind let him calculate the number of the wild beast, number for of man it is, and the number of it 666. The point of the 666 is to identify a certain personality, who the demons will worship. He is the same personality identified in chapter 17, the eighth, of the seven, those whose names not in the Lamb's book. This is the rider on the white horse in chapter 6, the first seal. The name of the scarlet beast is Obama. The eighth, but of the seven, who the demons will worship, those whose names are not in the Lamb's book. The name of the scarlet beast is Obama. There is a trumpet voice in chapter 1 which is the first of the trumpets, making the first trumpet the second the third, and so on. Thus the seventh becomes the eighth, yet the eighth is of the seven. 9 And other angel third followed to them, saying in voice great, if anyone is worshipping the wild beast and the image of it, and he is receiving engraving upon the forehead of him or upon the hand of him, 10 Also he will drink out of the wine of the anger of the God of the having been unmingled in the cup of the wrath of him, and he will be tormented in fire and sulfur in sight of angels holy and in sight of the Lamb. 11 And the smoke of the torment of them into ages of ages is stepping up, and not they are having resting up of day and of night, the worshipping the wild beast and the image of it, and if anyone is receiving the engraving of the name of it. Those who worship America, worship and support the image of the beast, false Israel, have the mark. Those who worship the beast, the name of the beast, Obama, also have the mark. 666. Mr. Farrakhan, the son of perdition, chief demon, referred to Mr. Obama as the Messiah. The chief demon supported and worshipped the beast of 666, Mr. Obama. The dragon had 7 crowns on its 7 heads, while the beast has 10 crowns on its 10 horns. This represents a transfer of power, authority from the dragon to the beast. The power and authority of the dragon was with the Europeans, specifically America, the beast wounded by death. The beast, Daniel's leopard, yellow with brown spots, which are the Orientals and Asians. China/India succeeds the Europeans as the super-duper power, having defeated America. (14) 8 And other second angel followed, saying, she fell, Babylon the Great, which out of the wine of the anger of the fornication of her has made to drink all the nations. 9 And other angel third followed to them, saying in voice great, if anyone is worshipping the wild beast and the image of it, and he is receiving engraving upon the forehead of him or upon the hand of him, 10 Also he will drink out of the wine of the anger of the God of the having been unmingled in the cup of the wrath of him, and he will be tormented in fire and sulfur in sight of angels holy and in sight of the Lamb. 11 And the smoke of the torment of them into ages of ages is stepping up, and not they are having resting up of day and of night, the worshipping the wild beast and the image of it, and if anyone is receiving the engraving of the name of it. The fall of Babylon/America. The fall of Babylon the Great/false Israel heralds the judgment. Those who worshipped America, the beast slaughtered by death, and worshipped false Israel, the image of the beast wounded by the sword, are called out, separated and rejected. These are those who have the mark of the beast in their right hand and or forehead. In short, the mark refers to the demons, the black-face Caucasians who were originally gold, but have been corrupted/marked, white, fiery red, greenish yellow by their devil daddies through 400 years of unrestrained, unrelenting rape. That's the short version. To interpret or decipher the INJIL code is much more difficult, much more sophisticated. Too complex to be addressed here. The wild beast which you saw, it was and not it is, and it is about to be stepping up out of the abyss and into destruction. It is going under, and will wonder the inhabiting upon the earth, of which not has been written the name upon the little book of the life from throwing down of world, of looking at the wild beast, because it was and not it is, and it will he alongside. 9 Here the mind, the having wisdom. The 7 heads 7 mountains are, where the woman is sitting upon them. 10 And kings 7 are, the 5 fell, the one is the other not as yet came, and whenever he should come little him it is binding to remain. 11 And the wild beast which was and not it is. And he 8th is, and out of the 7 he is, and into destruction he is going under. Those receiving the name of the beast, Obama. Illuminates the chapter 17 verses above. 11 And the wild beast which was and not it is. And he 8th is, and out of the 7 he is, and into destruction he is going under. There are actually 8 trumpets, including the trumpet voice in chapter 1. Which makes the 7th trumpet the 8th, but of the 7. That is Obama the 666 as shown in the illustration. Those demons, whose names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life, will worship him, Obama. We witnessed the inordinate fawning and idolatrous worship of Obama by blacks, including the chief demon, Farrakhan, who went so far as to proclaim Obama the Messiah. Mr. Obama, the Messiah, who didn't give a damn about Farrakhan, his demons, or any of the blacks, Mr. Obama who was for Obama only. So, that is the mystery of the mark of the beast. The Son of Man/Jonah is on scene and is about to make his presence seen, felt, heard. The fall of Babylon is of the first of his judgments. America was warned to leave Iran alone, Alice She Camel. But America, spurred on by Mr. Netanyahu, false Israel is pushing Mr. Trump hard against Iran. America, its empire, under ever-increasing pressure from every nation on the planet, is pushing back. Pushing back against Iran, a force that is hindering America's hegemony in the Middle East. Iran was promised judgment upon her enemies after her brother Syria had experienced 8 years of war and turmoil as she had, the fifth seal. Syria is presently ending the 8th year. Now is time for the judgment. The fall of America is first on the judgment list. America is about to get an unrecoverable shock. Nine. And when he opened up the fifth seal, I saw underneath of the altar the souls of the having been slaughtered through the word of the God and through the witness which they were having. 10. And they cried out to voice great, saying, Until when, the Master the holy and true, not are you judging and are you avenging the blood of us out of the inhabiting upon the earth? 11. And was given to them to each robe white, and it was told to them in order that they will rest up yet time little, until should be fulfilled also the fellow slaves of them and the brothers of them, the being about to be being killed as also they. The fifth seal addresses Gog/US, Magog/UK, Dajjal/false Israel's aggression against the Shia, Iran and Syria. First, Iran, the first of the two witnesses, which was attacked for 8 years by Gog's and Dajjal's proxy, Saddam Hussein of Iraq. Iran is calling on their 12th Imam, Fard, to avenge them against Gog, America, and Dajjal, false Israel. Fard tells them to be patient, for their fellow Shia brothers, Syria, must endure what Iran had endured. Then, he, Fard, will avenge his angels, the Shia. The war against Iran lasted 8 years. The war against Syria is now in its 8th year. Iran and Syria are the two witnesses of chapter 11, who witnessed against false Israel for 42 years, from false Israel's conception in 1948 to the first invasion into the Middle East by Gog, America in 1990. "49 I have come to cast fire upon the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. 50 But I have a baptism to undergo, and how distressed I am until it is accomplished. 51 Do you suppose that I came to grant peace on earth? I tell you, no, but rather division. 52 For from now on 5 members in one household will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. 53 They will be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. The INJIL reveals the opposing force in the opening phase of the war, the great and final war. The war will begin in the Middle East, quickly spread to Europe, then to the Orient, which is China, North Korea, to Asia, and finally to America. One can see the division and alliances forming even now. America/Gog, and Britain/Magog, will be allied against the world, thanks to Mr. Trump. False Israel will ignite the war, causing America to immolate itself attempting to extinguish a false Israel inflamed in the fire it lit. America/Gog, and Britain/Magog against Russia and Europe. The Christian blacks will be in open rebellion internally, opposed to being forced into service to fight in Europe. The realized fear of America. 9 And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. 10 Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass, that, when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Many, if not most Christian blacks, demons will be slaughtered in Europe fighting for their country. Division. 52 For from now on 5 members in one household will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. 53 They will be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law.
There are 5 members in Satan's family: America, Britain, Russia, Europe, and blacks. They are all Christians. There are 5 Christian groups and only 5 Christian groups in the INJIL. They all worship Satan. Satan himself is not Christian. Europeans/Caucasians are the bastion of Christianity. They are the ones marked with 666. There is growing enmity between them, being exposed by Brexit and aggravated by Mr. Trump. This division has historic roots dating back to the Middle Ages, where Britain broke away from the Catholic Church. Many Christian blacks are turning to Catholicism. The division is not religious, but it will break down along those lines except for American black Christians who will turn against America when they realize America's true agenda of planned genocide. This war will see the end of Christianity.
There are 5 in the house of Dajjal, the Antichrist: mother, daughter, father, son, daughter-in-law. Mother against daughter. Father against son. Mother-in-law versus daughter-in-law. This event is already visible. The so-called Brexit is pitting Britain against Europe. America and Britain, Gog and Magog, will be aligned against Europe and Russia in World War III. America will suffer unrest and open rebellion from her Christian Negroes. Tensions between Russia and America are increasing daily. Obamalites are stoking the tension with their cries of Russian interference in the election of Mr. Trump. Tensions between America and her Christian Negroes are increasing daily. Will continue with riots and open conflict. The war will see it boil over when America starts forcing her niggers into the war with the draft, women and men, while shielding her own white children, pursuing her genocide of blacks under the color of war. America/Babylon has fallen. False Israel has been overthrown, and vanquished. America and Britain are at war with Russia and Europe. Eight. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. 9. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass, that, when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor. 15. Then the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah and the other was named Puah. 16. And he said, When you are helping the Hebrew women to give birth and see them upon the birth stool, if it is a son, then you shall put him to death, but if it is a daughter, then she shall live. 17. But the midwives feared God, and did not do as the king of Egypt had commanded them, but let the boys live. 18. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, Why have you done this thing, and let the boys live? 19. The midwives said to Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwife can get to them. 20. So God was good to the midwives, and the people multiplied, and became very mighty. 21. Because the midwives feared God, he established households for them. 22. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, Every son who is born you are to cast into the river, and every daughter you are to keep alive. 22. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, Every son who is born you are to cast into the river, and every daughter you are to keep alive. Throw them all, black female and black males, into the river. War with China and India, the 200 million man army. Daniel's leopard, yellow with brown spots. You must have the key to understand what the scriptures are really saying, otherwise it just misguided conjecture. 16. And he said, When you are helping the Hebrew women to give birth and see them upon the birth stool, if it is a son, then you shall put him to death, but if it is a daughter, then she shall live. The daughters/females are the 144K, who are the bride of the Lamb, meaning they are female relative to the Lamb. 16. And he said, When you are helping the Hebrew women to give birth and see them upon the birth stool, if it is a son, then you shall put him to death, but if it is a daughter, then she shall live. First they tried to abort the males/sons. But that failed. This is the NOI. This is not about gender as the verses suggest. It relative gender. They wanted the NOI wiped out, but that failed. 22. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, Every son who is born you are to cast into the river, and every daughter you are to keep alive. Failing the elimination of the NOI, they go after blacks in a plan of genocide under the color of war. Note, the context is war. Their war concerns. These blacks are to be killed in a contrived war with India and China. 15. And threw the serpent out of the mouth of it behind the woman water as river, in order that her born by river it might make. 16. And gave aid the earth to the woman, and opened up the earth the mouth of it and drank down the river which threw the dragon out of the mouth of it. The remainder of the blacks are to be drowned in the river also, but in the war in Europe. The mouth of the serpent is Farrakhan, the dragon are complicit of encouraging the remainder of blacks, the Christian blacks, to go fight for America in their war in Europe. In short, they were spared genocide in the war with India and China, because they were killed in the war in Europe.
The water from the serpent's mouth is likened to a river. The water from the dragon's mouth is a river. So we see that the demons from the serpent's mouth and the dragon's mouth wants to drown or throw the demons from false prophet's mouth into the river.
Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, Every son who is born you are to cast into the river, and every daughter you are to keep alive. The daughters are the 144K, the elect, the bride of the Lamb. 2 of the demons, evil spirits, are being used to throw the other 2 spirits, the Muslim blacks, NOI, and the Christian blacks into the river. The chief demon is leading the effort. The river is the war with China and India. They are successful with the Christian blacks, but not with the Muslim blacks, the NOI who are being nourished from the face of the serpent, the Lamb of God aka Son of Man, and protected by Fard. Jonah arises to snatch the NOI out of the flaming fire, the son of perdition / Farrakhan has led them to.
The earth, Russia and Europe, protects the woman from drowning from the genocide planned by Gog and Magog, inspired by the dragon House Assad. America's war begins with war with Russia and Europe after being thrown out of the Middle East by Iran and Russia with fraud support. The blacks, drafted and duped into going to war for America against Russia and Europe, realized the trap and joined with Russia and Europe against America. America's nightmare. Those not on the battlefield here in America will turn against America with riots, insurrection. The black males scheduled for destruction, genocide, are the demons of the earth, the river, and the saints, NOI. The females are the elect, the bride of the Lamb. During Aaron's 42 years of deceit, the elect, the 144,000, took refuge, some with the Sunni, some with the Shia. They are the bride/females remained alive, while the rest of the women, the males, were thrown into the river.
The black males that are to be killed represent those males/female who have fallen under the spell of the mouth, the son of perdition, the chief demon. Farrakhan has seduced the saints and demons alike. The females that are to be spared are the 144K, who are the bride of the Lamb. The males and females are not literal but relative. The blacks, both male and female, are scheduled for genocide under the color of war. They are to be thrown into battle against China and India, the river, the 200 million man army to be destroyed fighting for their country. The black females have been set up, as they are now eligible for the draft.
The devil and his triangle of deception, death, and denial. The original nation is surrounded by enemies, surrounded on all 3 sides by a triangle of destruction. The Dajjal, demons, and the dragon. The Abrahamic promise is central to all scripture. The fulfillment of that promise, the promise of Allah to Abraham, is infallible. It is a reward to Abraham's seed for suffering the insufferable for 400 years. The fulfillment of the, quote, promise of return, end quote, is simultaneously accompanied by the destruction of those who impose the suffering, which are 3. The demons who are evidence of the rape of the original nation, the Jews who commercialize the suffering of Abraham's seed, the original nation, The dragon who has taken and profited by the possession of the promised land, determined to prevent the, quote, promise of return, end quote, from being fulfilled. The question: ask yourself, why would anyone want to deny the Abrahamic promise of return, the most beautiful and powerful prophecy and promise in the scripture? We have already paid the blood price. The promise of return is the reward for 400 years of unendurable suffering. So why would anyone want to deny it? The dragon, Saudi Arabia, would, as they control the land of promise, Arabia. The Antichrist, false Israel, would, as they would be revealed as the fraud that they are. Gog and Magog, America and Britain respectively, would, as the fulfillment of the promise of return comes with the promise of their judgment and destruction. They all have profound reasons to obscure, deny, and prevent the vision, the prophecy, the promise from ever being fulfilled. So why is Farrakhan denying the promise of return? Why? Quote, we ain't going nowhere, end quote. One last category not mentioned, the demons. The demons do not want the promise fulfilled because they are the chaff / tares / weeds that will be separated from the wheat at the time of return and cast into the fire, run off a cliff along with their swine daddies. They don't want it fulfilled either. So who represents the demons? The black-faced Caucasians who look like us, talk like us, but ain't us. The seed of devils who raped black women for over 400 years. Is God a liar, incapable of fulfilling his promise? The devils, Gog and Magog, have set up their triangle of death around the original nation. They robbed us of our identity. They gave our age-old enemy, the polytheists, control of our land. They corrupted our nation with impostors, lookalikes, hidden enemies called demons. Dragons, Dajjal, and demons, the devil's triangle of death. The so-called Jews have robbed us of our identity, posing as the seed of Abraham. The story of Jacob and Esau highlights and reveals the theft. The Jews commercialized our suffering. They were the main financiers and primary beneficiaries of the slave trade. They continue to exploit blacks financially and economically. False Israel is the Antichrist. Arabia, which is North Africa, is the, quote, land of promise, end quote, where Abraham dwelled. Abraham built the Kaaba and Mecca. The polytheists are Abraham's mortal enemies. Abraham separated from his father that he loved because of polytheism. Magog, the British, during their occupation of Arabia, set up the Hindus, polytheists, giving them control over Arabia, posing as Muslims, when they are in reality Hindus posing as Arabs. The dragon is determined to prevent Abraham's seed from ever returning to Arabia, from ever possessing, quote, the land of promise, end quote. The house of Saud is the dragon. The demons, black-faced Caucasians, the byproduct of 400 years of rape, unrelenting, unrestrained rape. They are the hidden enemy who look like, talk like, and can act like the original people, but are not us. Imposters. They are devils by nature, original by appearance. The demons love their devil fathers and want nothing less than full acceptance, full integration. The demons hate the original nation as much or more than their devil fathers. The demons prey on the original people. They don't want their cash cow to leave. Their devil fathers won't let them hunt and dine with them, but they have their devil fathers' unlimited permission to hunt and dine on the original people. The chief demon, son of perdition, is Farrakhan. The chief demon, the mouth, is a student of falsehood. Falsehood is a powerful form of deception. Falsehood is truth sprinkled with lies. You get a full banquet of food with a little but lethal dose of cyanide. You don't see or detect the cyanide until you are laid out, cringing in fatal agony. The chief demon provides a feast of Elijah, how to eat to live, message to the black man, fall of America, our Savior has arrived, the lessons from Farad, but embedded in the facade is the hook, just like the bait that hides the lethal hook from the unwary fish. Quote, we ain't going nowhere, end quote, in open defiance of Allah's promise, the reward for services already rendered, 400 years of insufferable suffering. The demons don't want to lose their meal ticket. We see how Farrakhan has gotten rich and fat off the original people while not having produced a damn thing. Nothing. 42 years and absolutely nothing to show for it. The NOI is not even a fraction of what Elijah left. If he died today, what would be left of the NOI? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, confusion, there will be that. But the deceiver has mesmerized those around him. They cannot see a thing, but they will, they will, they will, soon.
6:73 And he it is who created the heavens and the earth with truth/mathematics. And when he says, be, it is.
Elijah/Moses meets God/Farad. Elijah presides for 40 years. Elijah is succeeded by the quote, mouth, unquote, and impressive speaker, Aaron/Farrakhan. The quote, mouth, unquote, presides for 42 years. He betrays Elijah, misleads/deceives the flock. Aaron/Farrakhan is then exposed, dethroned, and his followers executed. Authority is transferred to Joshua/Jesus, aka Ancient of Days, who breaks the seals of the INJIL/Gospels, identifies and casts out the demons, separate chaff from the wheat, and together with Farad/Michael, delivers the flock back to the quote, land of promise, end quote, in fulfillment of the Abrahamic promise that Farrakhan rejected.